He was touring with Hinchcliffe for a second, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were doing Kill Tony on the road.
Yeah.
For a minute.
Hot breath.
And then I think Tony moved to, whatchamacallit?
Austin, right? Do you want to move those, the books and the cameras and stuff?
I think we're gonna be good. I think we're all set here. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, that's very exciting. Okay. Recording. The perks of doing the one-man band still is it's all.
This is awesome. I want to get a camera. I want to start recording my sets. I'm about to go on the road a ton.
Yeah.
Do you record your sets on this thing?
I will. Yeah, it's mainly for the podcast right now.
Yeah.
But I have recorded my sets with it. And, yeah, because it seems like the higher quality stuff is more shareable.
Very much so.
Since every open micer is posting grainy crowd work clips to try to go viral, it's like, what's going to increase shareability? And it seems like audio and video quality.
Yep, very much. And I've learned, I think the captions help.
Oh, for sure.
Like the quality of captions.
What do you mean, like how accurate they are?
No, like I was doing, I was sending mine through this thing called Rev, and it would caption out maybe, sounds really weird, but I've noticed the difference.
Mm-hmm.
It would caption out like maybe a sentence at a time. So it would give you a whole sentence, caption out, and I was just putting them up myself, and I'd put maybe like smaller font, and it would just
Hot breath.
So it would have the whole sentence up there as I'm beginning the sentence. Do you know what I mean? So people could read it before I said maybe a punchline.
Oh.
And then I hired Lysandra to, I had her caption some of my stuff, and this is what she does. She's a social media, she's like a content creator.
Who?
So Lysandra Vasquez.
Oh yeah, who does hot comics?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, and if you've ever like watched some other caption content, you'll notice they put like 1 to 3, maybe 5 words max, and they literally type in the word as it's said. Mm-hmm. And it so you're not ruining the punchline before you say it. It's weird.
But you do it all at once, you're saying?
So like the words come up as you're saying them. So it's not like a whole sentence is up there and you could read the punchline before it's delivered.
Oh, you're saying you do the opposite where you do just the word at a time.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying you did the whole thing at a time so people read it.
I was doing it before, and those were fine. Like, they were getting fine traction, but the sense I've had her caption them, and they have, like, the one word at a time. Those are the ones that haven't popped off.
Oh, snap. Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Because those are all they say, like, the tiny hinges open bigger doors.
Yeah.
So it's like those are the little differences that make the big difference.
Yeah. And I also, I don't know if this makes a huge difference, but she's so good at it that she'll add her captions kind of, hopefully he'll cheer up. He likes to throw his bone on the ground.
Mister? No, you're good.
But she'll, like, it's almost like the captions are making their own jokes sometimes. Like, have you ever noticed how some captions, like, if you emphasize a word, she'll take the word and then she'll italicize the word.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
like the way she'll like arrange a word, like I don't know if you've seen that DNF bit of mine, but like she went like DNF and she changed the colors and did it vertical. I don't know. She animates the caption.
Yeah, I've seen, like, I saw the clip they posted of when you were on their podcast, and it was like a Florida quote. And she like animated Florida and like made it. It's almost like if you watch it without sound, it's still entertaining.
Yes. Yeah. And like some of the Don't Tell clip I had, I did some sound effects. And so they had my words down normal caption, but they were doing like almost like a comic strip would be like pff, or pow or something like that.
Yeah.
They had them up like diagonal on the side, and I don't know if it makes a huge difference, but
I feel like it does. Especially now, is like every time you get on social media, like every comedian is posting stuff. So it's like, all right, how can I separate myself from just everyone posting them standing and saying things? And I think all those little things are going to make a difference now more than ever, just because everyone figured out, oh, I post my clips and maybe I'll go viral. So now it's like, what else can you do besides being funny?
Yeah.
It's like, what can you do to stand out when people are just sitting here doing this?
Yeah. It's almost like, yeah, I think about it. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about it too much, but it even helps to sell a bit. Like, I saw one how somebody, it was captions. It was like word, and then they had kind of, it was like they were going on a rant and they were adding so rapidly to this like tag. So the captions just started to, they just added them around their face.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, until it was like a whole thing around their face, and it just kind of, it like added to the like the rant or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was literally just talking about that. We were talking about before this about my interview with Jeremiah Watkins and how he basically he's creating so much content, and all of it is like he does several podcasts, but none of the stuff he shares is just like him standing or him sitting and talking. There's effects, there's like zooms, there's so many different bells and whistles, and I think you pointing that out, even just how you do the captions makes that really connects with me, because I'm someone who's like, I see people doing something and I'm like, all right, but what's another way? I try to catch the next wave instead of riding the current one. So I'm always looking for like, what's next? And then, so that could be what's next is you posting a bunch of clips, but how you can do it in an entertaining way, even without sound.
Yeah. And it's a whole different, I mean, I've like learned a little bit about how to caption, and like I'm trying to teach myself Adobe Premiere, but it's like a whole new, I mean, it's honestly like, if you just could hire somebody.
If you can, if you can, honestly, because basically everything I do right now is still me. I work with an editor some, but I'll still do a lot of my own editing and stuff. And like literally, if you can't outsource it, like you even bringing up Lysandra.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to reach out to her after this, because like I'm at a point now, it's worth the investment to just, you give someone who's good at that and then you focus on what you're good at.
Exactly.
Because it is so much work, dude. It adds up.
Yeah, that's I think like the next level, what I'm experiencing now. Like I'm starting to talk to people and I'm realizing, okay, that's how you level up, is when you start to build a team in any sense.
Yep.
And I'm the kind of person that's like, I would rather, so now I've kind of gone a little bit viral and I'm starting to make some.
Let's go.
That was on the
no
back.
big deal. No big deal.
But I've made a like teensy tiny bit for my reels on Instagram.
Yeah.
But whatever that money is, I just use it to pay to like edit more videos and
just
stuff.
To reinvest.
Because,
that's great.
Because I might as well do that instead of buying another pair of jeans or something. Like I'm realizing the more you work on, if you can, like if you build up to a point that you can have a team, it's worth the investment to pay other people to focus on stuff so that you can focus on writing or your art or whatever else you're creating.
Yeah, I mean, even this podcast, like I did all the audio for a long time and I can do it, but now I just send it, because I love helping comics, and comics helping comics is like what this whole show's about. So I now just send it to another comedian who's also an audio engineer. Mm-hmm. So I'm like supporting his business while also supporting like the greater good of comedy, while also saying, yes, I could do this, but I could literally just send the files to him and then it comes back completely done.
Yeah.
And in that time I would have spent doing what I know what to do. Just I could be doing other more productive things.
Yeah, you could you could do another podcast. You could write. There's other stuff. Yeah, I think it's like a time management thing too.
Mm-hmm. You're getting the heat, so it's you're at that. You're doing it. You did it. What does it feel like? What does it feel like? Because I've seen you since you started.
Yeah.
And then it's so cool. Like a lot of us comedians are playing almost like roulette online of like, maybe this one go viral, maybe this one, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I know her, and it worked. And now you're like, what does it feel like?
I can't. I was telling my friend yesterday. I was driving to Nashville at Zany's, and I got this unbelievable call, and I hung up with her and I called my friend and I was like, you grind for so long, for so many years, and you're so used to being really excited about something and it not happening, or it doesn't happen the way you were really hoping it would happen. That I'm like skeptical. Like it doesn't feel real, because you're like, no, I should be disappointed. I didn't get it. Like I'm not. This feeling doesn't feel. It almost feels like I'm about to be tricked. Because because I've been so used to, like everything is underwhelming.
Yeah.
And I still feel like this is all going to end in a very hot second, and you're going to be back to, I mean, I'm always going to grind. I'm always going to work. But right now it's a weird moment where like, all of a sudden people are like reaching out to you and being like, no, I want to do this for you. I see you with this potential. I want to do this for you. And all of a sudden, for the first time in your life, you're not doing everything. You don't have to do everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm looking behind me at all times, being like, okay, when is Ashton Kutcher gonna come out and be like, this is a prank? You thought this was gonna happen to you? Come on, no, we were kidding. Go back to nannying. Sit down.
It's like you're opening up for like David Spade, and
Yeah.
you're like, is he really gonna show up to the show? Is this really happening?
Well,
like,
when I flew to that gig and like walked into the hotel, I fully expected to walk up to the front desk and be like, hotel room for Katherine Blanford, and they were just gonna laugh and be like, no. Yeah, genuinely, I don't know. I think because after years and years and years of nothing happening,
just doing, bombing in cafeterias and
correct, yeah,
Yeah. You're doing it now. And just last night, you drove back from Nashville this morning at like 5 a.m. to be back here in Georgia. Like the grind never stops. And that's what people don't, I think, understand is like, you went viral, but it's like, yeah, you were still like driving all night. Yeah. You're still a working, grinding comedian.
Oh, I'll never stop. I mean, now it's to the point where like I'm so excited to even go to the next level. I can't wait to get there. I'm a bit addicted to this.
Of course. Oh, me too. We all are. Yeah.
And now you see like, oh, I have people like coming at me and wanting to help me. I can't now. Let's go after this. Let's go after this. This
like
is
what?
Possible now. You
don't have to spill the beans because I don't like saying anything like before. Like I don't like saying things until after it's happened. So I don't like to, because I've had several things in my career that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it, and then that doesn't come out, or I get edited out or whatever. So I don't like to say anything. But it's like I'm trying to think of an example. What did happen? All right, the David Spade thing. Yeah. That's something you maybe hear and you're like, all right, is this really going to happen? And then it does. So how did that come to be?
Weird, funny story. So Andrew Stanley.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Atlanta-based, but amazing comic.
Yeah, for sure.
He has been opening for him. I think he opened from Atlanta, and they loved him. And so he was. I'm sure he's been in maybe almost 10 cities with him now. He had to cancel a gig here locally to open for David Spade, and so they asked me to fill Andrew Stanley's spot at it. It was a high school graduation, like a community. I don't know how to say, a Jewish. Like kids who all grew up in the same like Jewish community, right? And and like 4 of them were graduating, so all their parents threw this little community graduation party for them, and they're like, "Wouldn't it be great if we had stand-up comedians?" So it was originally supposed to be Andrew and then Nick Murphy. I took Andrew's spot, and we go out there, and it's just like a plethora of high school kids and maybe even younger sitting on these blankets. Their parents, they were all chatting and eating cookies, and they made them stop and go over to these blankets and sit down there and listen to these stand-up comedians. Joel, this is when my videos had started popping off, and I was like, okay, maybe I'm better than I really thought I was. Maybe this is America is seeing me. I go up there, and I mean, I'm giving them the hits. Like I'm trying hard, not a peep. They're 13 years old.
They're trying to hang out at a party, and then they're like the stranger.
Yes, yes. What I was to them, I might as well have been their chemistry teacher. Monday morning, trying to lecture them. They were like, "This, we hate this. We have to do this every day at school. We don't want to do this again." And it was hell. I mean, but I don't know if you've ever, like, college is different, but anything younger than college, they don't know what stand-up is. They don't know to sit there and enjoy one person talking on a mic. I'm like, I almost started dancing at the end. I was like, do you want me to do a TikTok? Yeah, I was like, how about this TikTok dance? It was rough. I had texted Andrew and I was like, "Hey, you just missed the gig of a lifetime." And he texted me. Yeah, he texted me back a picture of him on stage at this theater show for David Spade, and he goes, "But actually, we were at dinner afterwards, and Spade showed me his phone. And he goes, 'Do you know who this chick is?'
What?
And it was my Don't Tell comedy clip." And he goes, and Andrew was like, "Yes, my friend Katherine." He was like, "Oh, she's funny." And turns out they had a date in Jacksonville that Andrew couldn't do because he was going to a wedding with his fiance. And so they were like, "Do you want to ask your friend Katherine?"
What?
That's how it happened. So, I mean, it was a little bit of the Don't Tell clip. It was a little bit of just having a friend there at the right time that was an easy contact for them to be like, "Oh, well, you know somebody."
The friend that booked you the bad gig.
Right.
That then comedy's like that though.
Yeah.
It gives and takes. Like there's a low, but there's a high. Like
Yeah.
So that is funny. You're doing this horrible gig, booked by your friend. I mean, it pays. You know, those gigs pay.
Yes.
Yeah, those gigs pay.
Yeah.
So you kind of check the box on that kind of stuff. But that's so funny about comedy is it's like, oh, this terrible gig, and then you call your friend and you're like, thanks for this terrible gig, and he's like, actually, I have maybe the best gig of your career so far, if you would like. Like, it's so funny how comedy balances out like that.
Yeah. I think that's also why right now when stuff feels so exciting, there's that voice in the back of my head going, "But remember, like you're gonna be burned soon." You
Comedy
won't be
humbles you like
disappointed."
that.
Yeah, it's you just know that it's always an up and down, which I think is why it's so addicting.
Yeah, you're like chasing that high of
Yes,
like,
constantly.
but that one show.
Yeah.
What was it like working with Mr. Spade?
I'll sing his praises to the end of time. He was the coolest, most personable, silliest, goofiest guy. We got to go to dinner before, and him and Bobby Miyamoto, he travels with him a lot. Super, super nice, super friendly guy, super funny. We just get to chill at dinner, and like we were all chatting and laughing. They're down to earth guys. Like we were all telling stories, laughing, and then you forget you're with somebody famous until you get in a black car and you drive around the theater and there's thousands of people wrapped around the building, and then they have to have security open up the car, and he gets out, and then you get out behind him, and everyone's like, David, and you're behind him like, "Thank you, I'm wearing Target." But it's weird because you're in the car before just cracking up. I felt like I was in the green room with my friends at a show.
Yeah.
But you're not used to having that reaction from fans at the same time. So it was really cool. We got into the theater and like we just chilled and cut up and laughed and were goofy the entire time. He's phenomenal, dude. Great. I've opened for a lot of people, variety of like top notchers now, and some of them aren't always as friendly. And I don't think you necessarily. Sorry, somebody wants to be part of the.
Mister.
Yeah, he needed some attention.
You're good.
I don't say necessarily everybody has to be the most friendly because you're working with people all the time. But
Oh, I thought he was about to drop it on
I
my
know.
head. Would he do that? Would he like?
if he's desperate enough,
We didn't see a bone fly in.
Yeah. He's like his mom. We love attention, so we'll do it any way we can. But he's definitely the friendliest. Mister, it's not about you right now.
This is her big moment, mister.
Yeah, he's like, no, it's
My
about
moment.
me.
Hilarious. Yeah, my dog will scoff. He'll just go
Oh
like,
yeah,
he's like a little poodle mix.
yeah.
Hey,
See,
mister.
I thought he was gonna be chill, but
No, it's
yeah.
all good.
This is the baby in our house, so
No.
he doesn't know anything unless it's all about him.
No worries at all.
Yeah.
He's a cutie.
Thank you. He's from the streets. He's a mix of everything.
We're talking about you working with David Spade, and he's like, "This is my show."
Exactly.
My time.
Yeah, and he'll drop a huge bone down the steps, just dent our steps. Do, 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 do.
No worries at all.
Yeah. So I've said this from the beginning. I was even texting one of my friends, David Perdue.
Yes, of course.
When I did my first open mic, I remember he messaged me afterwards, and he was like, "Hey, I saw you at the mic. You look like you were having fun on stage. That's half the battle. Keep at it." And I've kept that in the back of my head to remember. Would be like, okay, there's people that that might not be the best starting out, but don't write them off.
Mm-hmm.
Because they could build themselves up and be somebody someday.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's why you always want to be nice to people too.
Yes.
I mean, you want to be nice to people in general, of course, but
But for your personal gain is what I'm telling you.
Of course, yeah. As a strategic ploy.
Yes.
You never know what comic you saw bombing at an open mic is going to end up booking like the top shows in the Southeast or whatever.
Right.
You know, so always be nice.
Yeah. Is he making you nervous next to your camera?
He's good though. He knows how to like walk right around it. Is the famous last words there. Hey, wait, how long have you been doing comedy?
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
And you started in Atlanta.
Started Atlanta. I took a class at the Improv, and then it closed 6 months later.
Nice.
Not that I had anything to do with it. I probably did, like, I wasn't, like, super hardcore until about 2 years in.
Oh, like doing it, like, nightly?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Is that...
No, that's totally fine.
Okay.
I doubt that'll even pick up on here over here.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. So I think, like, 2 years in is when I, like, really went hardcore in. And I had a job. I had a really cool job. I was working like event management in the venues.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to work for the Orlando Magic, and then I came back up here for a smaller venue, and then I started comedy, and then I was offered the Dallas Cowboys job, like at their stadium.
Oh my gosh.
And they were like, we need you down there in 2 weeks. This is when Beyonce and Jay-Z were their first tour, their first stadium tour on the run, and they were, you would be running that. And I was like, actually, I'm gonna quit. I want to do stand up. So this is why it has to work for me, because I gave up a lot.
Literally the thing you had your college degree for.
Yes.
Is they're like, all right, you're about to be in like one of the nicest NFL stadiums, Beyonce, Jay-Z. You're like, no, I want to do open mics and coffee shops.
Yes, the most mega of everything, the most mega stars, the most mega concert, the most mega venue. And I was 20, 22, 23 maybe at the time. So young. I worked weirdly up very quickly. Hold on, let me grab that from him.
Oh,
but yeah, I don't know. But also you realize though, it sounds amazing, but like I was doing nights and weekends and working during the day too, and it's like there's no point in grinding on something that you hate doing.
And
I would, and I'm a workaholic, but I have to like it. I want to work. I want to be a workaholic on something I love.
So what does that work look like for you now? Are you still you're still a nanny?
I'm still nannying
at this time.
Yeah, I mean it's part-time now.
Yeah, you're easing into full-time stand-up. So like,
Yeah.
what does the work look like for you as like a comedian now? Kind of what are all the different things you're working on? How do you like approach your days? Like, what's the work of comedy for you?
Yeah, so I would say, I wish I could say I wake up and write every morning. It doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
Maybe I write. I like to start journaling. I do the morning pages.
Yeah, I do that more than anything.
Yeah. 3 pages nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
But usually what the mornings consist of, because I have my mornings free for myself. I wake up, walk in, work out. I have to work out for my mental state of mind. And then it's usually dedicated to podcasting. Lace, Larrabee, and I have our Cheaties podcast. We do our interviews in the morning, and then we do a catch-up episode every other week. And then, so it's either I'm recording or editing a clip for the podcast or editing a clip for social media. And then if I can get writing in, I will. But usually I'll go nanny, and then I'll go to like a coffee shop. I'll pack my bag so I don't come home. I force myself.
Yeah.
So I'll have like a weird hour and a half in between working and going to a show. I've already packed my bag. There's no point in coming back home. So I have to go to a coffee shop, and I sit down and I write.
Are you like seeking out like bookings or anything on that end, or like the business side of it?
Yeah, that's the cool part, is what I was, I guess, alluding to. Who knows? I don't want to speak on it too soon, but
Of course.
I have lately been getting contacted a lot more about bookings, and it's been I'm like, I don't know what my rate is, I don't know what to tell them. Do I ask for transportation and everything? So you learn at some point, like, oh, this is how comics do it. They have people, they have agents. This is really cool.
Yep.
So I've been talking with maybe a few people.
Like agents you're talking about?
Yeah, who will help me out eventually with that. But before, it was always, I mean, that, like, as far as like sending out emails and everything, I maybe 6 months ago did have somebody, a friend who was like, I'd love to be your unofficial booker, which was like kind of a handshake deal. You know, we'll do this as long as it works for you. And I was like, okay, well, here's my email template. Here's this is the kind of venues I'm interested in working on. And since then, she's been that's another automated system where she's like, all right, so she just sends out emails, and then if I book something, she gets 10% of it. But my day is packed already, and I have to go back to nannying and everything, and that like taking care of emails was a hard thing for me to do.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, like, that was another thing that it was worth me, you know, maybe spending a little bit extra on.
Yep.
But to have somebody else take care of it for me.
Yeah, and now like this next level. So like you go viral, and then now like agents started reaching out to you.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the progression?
For me, I guess is what happens. I mean, yeah, I'm also learning what agents do what and
who's worth what. Like, yeah,
yes.
I mean, you know a lot of people in comedy, so it is worth being like, if you can vet these people reaching out to you with anyone like that maybe knows, because there's a lot of people in the game who are like, may have like mystique or whatever, but then they end up not really doing anything. And
right.
like, so yeah, I mean, I've just heard, I've been independent my whole time, but I've definitely heard stories of like people signing their like opportunities away to people they don't even know. So it's it's an exciting time for you though. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, it's exciting, but I'm also learning. Like, I'm learning very in real time how to vet people, the questions to ask, legitimate questions. I mean, he's usually so chill. And
it's all good.
It's like they sense the moment that they need to be chill.
But literally, the one I did with Jeremiah. Oh, now Mister's doing it. But the one I did with Jeremiah, the dog kept bringing Chewy toys and kept jumping in our laps, and like it was literally the entire interview. So it's all good.
When I do podcasts upstairs, he just lays at my feet. Like, he's chilled.
But he knows this is hot breath. He wants his hot breath moment.
He does. And there's doggy melatonin in that bone, and you would think it's doggy cocaine.
You thought it would be doggy Adderall.
Yeah.
Make you nostalgic of your USC days.
Buddy.
I didn't mean to kick that underneath there.
That might be good. It might be better. You gotta chill out. Yeah, but it's a lot of like learning also what's worth it right now, what's worth it to sign for and what's not. So I'm probably gonna make a lot of mistakes, but it's like anything else. You just gotta keep doing it, figure it out.
Yeah, that's what I've heard you say and talk about stand up though, is just like the failure aspect of it. Is like you love the failure because those are like your best lessons too. Yeah,
this is my same approach to writing. Even when I start a bit, like I like to write. I'm like, I'm gonna say every aspect of it that I can on stage, even if it's not. I still love an open mic. I go to mics.
You're so free.
Yeah. People are like, oh, I was so pumped when I didn't have to go to open mics anymore. Like, I don't need open mics. I'm like, dude, I will forever hit up an open mic because I know the beginning of my. I guess it's my mental. I don't need it. I just need to. God. Dude, Mister.
Yes, this is so good.
Mister, you know what you're doing. You're being a little brat. You know. You need to be quiet. Here. But I love to just talk free about something and like throw out every aspect of a premise and everything. And I know 75-80% of it is gonna bomb or just not get anything. But I have to figure that out, like live time.
Yeah.
So I have to fail to get something good.
So like when you're developing, we could say Salt Daddy because that's like the name of your album. It's like a big story that you tell that I feel like I've been able to see like the progression of that story as well, seeing you out at so many shows. So it's how how did you develop that story from like, oh my gosh, we're twerking on a pontoon boat to now this is like the name of my album and it's like a premiere bit? Like, how did you develop that into such like a tight story?
That bit was, it took years to really fine tune it. And even I thought I had it to a certain point, and then I decided when I wanted to put it on the album, the end it never really hit as hard as I wanted it to. And so I'd probably been doing it a certain way for a year maybe, and then added this bit maybe 3 months before the album, the end of the bit, 3 months before I recorded the album, and it has hit so much harder since then. So I think I think I started that bit when I was a newer comic. And the beginning, when I was really throwing it out there was parts of that story that I don't even include anymore, or I've changed a little bit to make it more comedic but not as truthful.
Of course.
Whatever you gotta do.
Yeah.
But I had to figure out what aspects of the story were funny and what to like lean in on and expand more on, and I had to say other parts of the story and multiple times to be like, all right, this is a dead part. I need to chop this off. But it probably changed and morphed for maybe 3 years, maybe 4 years. Have I been doing that bit? I
Did
think
you
that's
write it out longhand first, or were you like riffing on stage to develop it? And adding all these little comedic like flares that you referenced. Yeah.
I'll write it out. I'll journal it, write out the bit, and then I'll say it on stage, and then I listen to it, and I go, okay, well, there's a pop, here's a super lull, here's a super lull, and I'll go, well, let's add tags into that lull, or let's figure out a different direction, and then I'll go back and I'll try it again. But I like to be loose on stage because I do get a lot from just riffing and being silly. So there's a weird thing about I love to keep doing a bit even after I feel like it's fine tuned. Because like even after like 3 months of doing it, you'll have a riff that'll make it so much better. We don't do that.
And then you just record your sets to like remember like what you said, and then you start to refine it that way, basically.
Yeah, I listen to recorded sets a lot.
That's something I feel like everyone records their sets, but to actually go back and listen to them, it's almost like torture.
Yeah, I mean, I don't listen to all of them. Sometimes I'll be like, I'll just know that, okay, I did the bit how I usually do it. There's nothing I'm going to gain from listening to this. I'll delete it. But if I was really loose, if it was a silly show, I riffed a lot, I'll listen to it. Or especially if it's a new bit and I'm developing it, I always go back and listen to those. But I always record my shows just in case. And then if I'm like, okay, that was pretty standard, I didn't try anything too crazy or too new, I'll just delete it.
Yeah, I always have the intention of I'm listening to all of them, and then
Yeah, I mean, at some point, the sets you can listen to, and then unless you're trying out something super new.
Yeah, or working towards something, because that definitely helped me when I did my special. Was it's like having something to work towards. Like you said, you didn't find the ending of the story until like almost you're about to record your album.
Yeah.
So it's like having something you're working towards really helps the creative process of like, well,
yes.
The motivation isn't just I'm grinding, I'm trying to figure this out, but it's like I have to do it for this moment.
Yes.
So even if like a comedian's metric is I have this big showcase or this big paid gig I want to be ready for, it's like having these milestones to work towards really kind of create that pressure that makes diamonds.
Yeah. I would say the album had changed a lot for me as far as my vision and my discipline, because it was the first time that I really had a deadline for something. It wasn't like, okay, this is just a show.
Right.
I'll do it. I'll perform it for this person in the room. It's done. I was like, no, this is going out to everyone. And it put into perspective of write to create a product that you're going to put out. So now everything I'm writing, like I'm like, I want a new hour. Everything I write, I'm like, okay, this is a bit, but is it going into my story of this hour? Where am I going to put it in this hour? What's kind of, is there a theme going along here? But I think, like, I don't even love my album right now.
You don't love your album?
I mean, I recorded it 7 months ago, and I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I feel like I've grown a lot as a comic, even in
sure.
those 7 months. And some of those bits I've still done, and I've fine tuned them even more. And I've learned so much even in those 7 months that I listen to it. I'm like, man, there's 1,000 things I would have done differently or fixed or chopped or whatever. But I'm so grateful because ever since doing the album, it's streamlined, being like, okay, let's just stop like doing things and just waiting in the void for stuff. Make something, like create something with it, go put something out.
Yeah.
So now it's like I'm much more disciplined.
And you're parlaying it. Aren't you doing like working on like a horse girl like show for a web or something?
Yeah.
Aren't you working on a horse girl show in some capacity?
Yeah. There's a.
You don't have to give away too much if you don't want to.
Okay.
But it's like you're parlaying something from your stand-up and like, all right, how else can I repurpose this from like a branding and just content standpoint? Like, what else can I do with? I have this bit about a topic. What else can I do with it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like
I love every dope thing I bring up. You're doing. You're like, I don't know. I mean, I guess. But I'm with you. Like, I don't say anything until after something's happened. Like, I'm at that point. So
yeah,
I get what you're doing.
This one I could say. I mean, it just. I just want to do. I love the horse girl idea. It's so fun for me. I still like doing the bit on stage because I've turned it into such a crowd work situation because there's always some horse girls with some wild stories that I grew up in Kentucky, so I'm a horse girl, but I only in the context of the Lisa Frank unicorns and like watching Black Beauty on in a movie.
Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken.
Yes, exactly.
I remember that
so
movie.
like now I'm like, okay, no, I'm gonna go find out what real horse girls are and like actually learn and like so I have an idea to go.
Like it's like a show. You're like going and visiting horse girls.
Yeah, like to a barn. I'm going back and I have some racehorse connections back in Kentucky and like going to every aspect of actual horse girls.
Oh my! I was picturing like sketches, but the fact it's like that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's just me learning in real time what actual horse girls go through. And,
oh my! You're like Guy Fieri.
Yes.
Like doing diners, drive-ins, and dives, but it's you visiting horse girls.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money there too. Maybe you could book some gigs off of that too.
I know. I'm hoping to. So I'm like writing more horse girl stuff, but truly, I think the best part is that I genuinely don't actually know anything about horses. It's just the fantasy. Is what I was so obsessed with.
But you were about that life. I mean, weren't you one of
Yes.
these people at Kentucky Derby running on the porta potties and stuff too? Like
Yes.
you were about that life though.
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing about that had anything to do with actual horses. That
I
was
guess
me
it's partying.
partying in the infield at Derby, doing my own porta potty race up top. But yeah, I've kind of been. I mean, you grew up in Louisville, home of the Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs. Like you're ingrained in it a bit. Like I would
True.
be going to the track on. You go there for Father's Day and Easter Sunday, and it's fun to walk around the back where the horses are, the barns where they're getting baths and training. And I'm obsessed with it, but I know that there's a whole industry, there's a whole world that exists that I would I'm so interested in just diving more into it.
That's great, though. It's
Yeah.
something you're naturally interested in.
Yes.
It's not something you feel obligated to do that, oh, maybe I can capitalize on this. But it's something you're naturally interested in, so the work is actually fun.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the times as comics, we chase something because we see it working for someone else. I mean, what really struck me is like with the social media thing is like, I know a comic who's doing very well on social media with like the side-by-side reaction videos where like every comic now is like there's a video and then they're like reacting to it.
Yeah.
And it's like a format that works. And I saw him at a show recently and he was complaining about like he hates recording them and he's like he sits in his car and does them all at once. And that just hit me. That's like, oh, this guy's like going viral doing this thing that he hates.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's really finding what you love to do and then figuring out the overlap of like, what actually gets hits on social media and what you enjoy to do, and finding that overlap can take, a lot of failure and repetition to find.
But I think it's more sustainable.
For sure.
And you can, when you watch somebody who is genuinely interested in what they're talking about and doing, it's fun to watch.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we talk about finding a differentiator in like the content you create. It's like you having fun does translate through the screen. It actually translates through the phone if you're phoning it in versus you're actually enjoying and passionate about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it makes a big difference.
Very much.
So I have to ask you this as we land this plane here, because this is something like as comedians, like you're doing it, like, because I'm 12 years into comedy, so it's like I've seen when I first started, it was just like do open mics, all the time, and then like maybe a gatekeeper will do this or that for you. But it's like to see the evolution of social media now, and then to see someone like you started open mics, now you're going viral, now you're like having this career off of this. It's like, what does it feel like when you're posting a bunch of stuff and then one works? Like, are you just like living on your phone now, just like refreshing, just like, I am so cool. Yes. I am so cool.
Honestly, yes. And I hate it. I mean, my boyfriend's like, hi, hey, what's up? You want to have some dinner?
And you're just like, I'm awesome. I'm awesome.
Yeah,
I'm awesome.
I'm like, DM me a picture of dinner. And like, it can't be bothered. And I honestly, like, I know I'm so conscious of being like, do you got it? Because it also kind of, it makes you a little bit, I'm like, dude, the world is not about me. I've got to move on from my DMs and my comments. Like, there's news, there's stuff happening outside the world. Like, there's a sunshine out here. So it's really exciting for a second, but then I'm kind of getting more used to just being like, okay, I got a lot of hits all the time, and it's not as exciting, and I'm happy about it because I'm like, okay, I can put my phone down and go out into the world again. But it's really exciting. You do have this fear. There's, as soon as you get something, it's like there's just new pressures and fears. You feel like, okay, I've got to capitalize on it. I got this tiny window to capitalize, and I've got to do everything right and perfect to really solidify it. And people reaching out to you like, let me tell you what you got to do on YouTube now and Instagram and this, and you're kind of listening to this advice back and forth, but then at some point you have to just stop and be like, okay, enjoy it. Maybe it's just for a month, maybe it's just for 2 days. It might happen again, but like you can't put this pressure on yourself that like this you have a tiny window of opportunity to capitalize on it, and or else the world's gonna end.
Or even like posting, like I've had a few, like nothing like what you've had hit, but like I've had a few things like hit. I mean, even something getting 10,000 views, you're like, oh my gosh, all right, what do I post next? It better be even better than this. And if it gets 10 views instead of 10,000, then I'm quitting comedy. Like,
the next post is so scary. And you're like, I messed up, I screwed up. Right after one of my clips went viral, I posted this clip from my podcast, and the minute clip had kind of an explanation before we went into this joke part, and my friend was like, why don't you just put the joke part up, just make it really short, they like really short. And I was like, that's a good idea, and I posted it, but I guess without the explanation before, it was so confusing, and people were just like slamming. They're like, what is this? Like they were getting offended, like whatever it was just so silly. And I was like, what have I done? I screwed up everything. I've lost it all. Like everything I worked for, it was right in my hands, and I threw it away. And it's an insane thing what social media will do to your brain. Like especially the more you do go viral, the more you get thirsty for that like triumph again. And sure. So you'll go through these like crazy circus in your head, and eventually you have to be like, okay, this will drive you insane if you let it. And so you have to, like, after a while, after the excitement kind of calms down, it feels good to just put your phone away and be like, okay, there is a world outside. There's wars going on. There's other shit that matters besides your stupid podcast clip you just posted that didn't do well. And you have to remember to like put it aside and live in the real time for a second. It's a wild like industry we're in and time, because it's changing rapidly, and social media has so much to do with it right now.
And it just like, how long ago did you go viral? Like it recently?
So recent. Yeah.
Was it within a month?
But days feel so long now.
Well, at the top of the mountain, heavy is the crown, I guess.
It really is. Oh, and I am a monster now too.
When Nikki Glaser follows you,
yes,
you're like, you can't,
Yes, exactly. My crown just tipped a second. Yeah, no, it probably has been, I think, a month, maybe like 2 months since the Don't Tell clips have come out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's been a lot really fast. I don't know, like I don't know how people who are like mega ultra famous. I kind of get how even with the 2 months of like clips going semi-viral, I'm like, oh, I get Miley Cyrus now.
I mean, it's like, yeah, when you see someone like Justin Bieber, they're like, I can't believe he was racing Lamborghinis in his neighborhood when he was 17. It's like, imagine the amount of power and influence on your 17-year-old brain. It's like, I mean, when I was 17, it was like, I won bloody knuckles today, but if you're like, I won paper football, but when you go viral, like I'm sure you feel like invincible.
And it's also the people that just inflating your reality.
Yeah.
And then, and so, I mean, luckily, I'm talking like I'm a hot shot. I'm not. But
we're talking about the reality of like this moment, like so many comics are chasing now.
Yeah, but it's good to, like, I'm still a nanny, so still Monday morning I go back and
still we're up at 5 a.m. today, driving back from Nashville.
Correct.
Later, driving yourself.
Yes,
like,
somebody will be like, Kiki, will you wipe me? And I'll have to be like, okay, bend over. Like it's nice to be brought back down to like reality. Also because you have to realize it is so fleeting, and you're like, okay, well then get back to work. Like this whole, I love this horse girl, I guess website, I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, thing, but
are you doing it yourself? Like, are you recording it yourself, or you're like doing it with
I'm talking to Lysandra again. We're going to record it together. She's going to be like my producer, but she's going to be involved in the clips as well. So now we're reaching out and scheduling real horse girls to go meet up with, and but it's like, okay, get back to work. If this is fun, this was cool, but you put these clips online, people want to come see you now. They don't want to see all the same material that you just put online. Get back to writing, girlfriend. Go back to Mike's, work this material. Go find other content to put online. Like it's also reminding that, like, okay, they're over this clip, and if you want another one, you've got to work hard to get something else to go viral.
So what's next? What are you like working on? Because that is something you referenced earlier of like so many people giving you like tips and ideas of what you should do and things like that. And what I've learned is, one, look at the source. Like whenever, even like at open mics, sometimes comics will come up to you and be like, oh, have you thought of this or that? And it's like, look at that comic and be like, are they doing what I would aspire to do? Are they at open mics doing new things? Are they doing cool creative outlets? Are they going to open mics, getting drunk, doing the same thing over, just talking to you to make themselves feel better? Same thing in the world and the industry in general is there's people that want to give advice just to feel important.
Correct.
But you want to take the source for context. Like, do I want to listen to that? I appreciate them taking the time, but like, is that someone I would aspire to be like or work with or whatnot? And I think what's helped me make decisions is like knowing what I want. All right, where do I want to be in 5 years or whatnot? What excites me? What do I want to be working on? So like for you have this moment, and the good thing, you're funny. The good thing is you popped and you're funny and you're talented and you're going to be able to back it up and build a career off of this and not just be like a bottle rocket. But like for you, like what is it? What do you're funny and you're talented, so what do you want to do with that now? Like, what do you see with your career?
Yeah, I mean, I think now it's about, I guess it's about building a team so you can elevate to the next level. So now I'm getting to the point where I can, like talk to representation and building, and a couple of things is like, okay, I want an hour. I want to shoot an hour. And this sounds cocky, but I'm like, I'm done playing small. Like I want to have something on TV in 2 years. So I'm like, okay, get to writing, build a team together to get on the road and like be able to be a road comic working this new hour, and so that's one. Like I said, I want to be on TV. I want to have my stand up on TV very soon. So talking to the right people, putting a game plan together for that. Then again, like continuing, okay, you've built an online audience. How do you keep that up in a sustainable way? It's putting the horse girl stuff together or like, continuing to edit clips. So it's like, I've been like, okay, what do I want to do in a year? What do I want to do in 2 years? What do I want to do in 5 years? I have that mapped out. I know it now. And now it's like building the team and building the content to get there too.
Oh, yes. Well, anything I can do to help or anything Hot Breath can do to help, we're all about comics, helping comics here. And to get to do this on the day your debut album drops, I'm honored that you drove back from Nashville at 5 a.m.
I'm telling you, I'll always do this. Like I want to have my whole day packed.
Yeah, me too.
With just exciting stuff.
Yeah,
all
I
the time.
agree.
Or work. I love that. I hate feeling lazy and like nothing's moving. I'm not moving the ball forward a little bit.
I totally agree. Yeah, and they say like, what is it like? Idle time is the devil's playground.
Yes.
I'm definitely a victim of like, if I don't have something to do, if I don't have something productive to do, I'll find something destructive to do.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Which is why I quit drinking at the beginning of this year.
Yeah. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a big decision, but I'm 34.
Yeah.
And it was like 2 days after my 34th birthday after day drinking. And I was like, I don't even want to do like nothing. At a point now, it's like I've never drank and then felt better about it.
Yeah.
Like, and just in general, nothing good happened when I drank. And then afterwards, you're like anxious and then depressed.
Yes.
And then you just feel like it's just poison. It's it's literal poison.
It is.
It's actual poison.
Yeah, I know. I would love to. I don't drink a lot, but I would love to get to that point at some point where I can just. I think I only do it sociably now to just kind of fit in. Like, do you want to go get drinks? Sure.
Yeah.
And then I'm drinking because I hate drinking.
I took all of last year off. Like, it was just kind of one of those things of like, I just want to see what happens if I don't drink.
Yeah.
And then in January of this year, started drinking again. And then I was just like, this is like, I would just be sitting in my office thinking about drinking. Like, it just, like, it was just like, at 34, I was like, I mean, what do you want to do? It's like, what do you want to do in your life is like, is it being hammered and whatnot? So it's like, the one caveat I create is it's like, I went to Ireland for a honeymoon when I got married. So it's like, whenever we go back to Ireland, I'll drink a Guinness. But like, otherwise I'm just done.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's exciting. It's one less thing to worry about, and it saves money too.
Yeah, so much money. Money on drinks, and then my thing is money on food after you've been drinking.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I'll Uber Eats this
of
Thai
course.
food.
Yeah, that's now sugar is my next battle to conquer.
That's a hard one.
Sugar's the devil.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, you might not conquer that one, but I'm here for it.
Yeah. Oh, but thank you so much for doing this, Catherine. I love it. Now this became a therapy session. I was like, my sobriety, and now I'm trying to quit sugar.
Yeah, but listen, I mean, you're going to get, how much sugar's in alcohol that you've been drinking?
Yeah,
Think about how much you've already cut out.
Yeah, for sure.
See?
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, please promote what you got going on. Where can people keep up with the one and only Katherine Blanford?
Well, I know I really sold my album well. How much I love it.
I hate this. Go buy it. Yeah.
I do love it. Now I look at it as like okay, this is where I was at this point.
It's a time capsule.
It's a time capsule.
For sure.
And now it's to me it's a what is the word? It's like a blinking reminder to me. It's like, okay, this is what is out there representing you. If you want something else out there, start working on it. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, I want to put something else out there to have in front of that in a year. But I still enjoy it. I like the jokes. I'm still working. I still do some of those jokes on the album. It is fun. I think I'm still proud of it. So it's called Salt Daddy. It's on iTunes and Amazon. Do you know about that weird legal battle going on right now?
With Spotify?
Spotify, Pandora, SiriusXM.
Oh, I didn't know there was one on Sirius. Sirius is paying us. Are they not?
You can opt out. So I don't know the specifics, but because it's all about the composer fees, right? Is that what they're?
I think, and like it's like musicians get a writing credit and like a composer credit,
Yeah.
and like comics aren't getting a writing credit. We're not
Yeah.
getting paid for being a writer of our content or something
yeah,
like that.
SiriusXM is, I think there's labels. People are involved.
I get it paid from Sirius.
You
still.
do?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
for my album.
Okay.
So I'm assuming. I don't know if maybe I should be getting paid more though. Maybe that's the battle.
Well, I've heard you can opt out of waiting for the composer fee or whatever to the legal battle to be settled. If you're like, okay, I don't care, you kind of just wave it off and then you're being paid. I'm gonna go that route, but that's why the stuff's not on Spotify or Pandora, any of that right now. Whatever, it doesn't. I mean, I'm still a small fish, so I'm not that worried about it.
Did you release it with a label?
No, Jason Riggs, I think his like company's official title, The Comedies.
Oh, does he do stuff at Atlanta Comedy Theater?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
he's doing all that and getting
Yeah.
you on Sirius and all that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that, and then my socials are at It's Katherine Blanford, and podcast, Cheaties Podcast, and yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll have a fun little Horse Girl web series happening soon.
Yes. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
the final thing I ask comics to do here, could you look in the camera, say your name, and why people should listen to Hot Breath?
My name is Katherine Blanford, and listen to Hot Breath because this is a podcast where people stop being polite and start getting real, and that's an original slogan right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Log line.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katherine Blanford.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Sorry, Mister. Look at he's taking the whole speaker out.
Oh my gosh. No worries.
He's so chill when I do my podcast, and then.
Hot Breath.